How would you describe the emotion guilt? When you experience guilt, what do you think you look like? What are your facial expression, your gesture, posture, behavior? Ask your friend or a colleague in the classroom about his or her experience of guilt. Do you think you have more similarities or differences? Why do you think that is? As you've learned in the previous lesson, unlike primary emotion, secondary emotion are culturally and individually shaped, and there are a lot more differences on the individual level. Primary emotion, fear, anger, happiness, disgust, surprise, and sadness, has a universal way of expression that is quite similar between cultures. But more complex emotions that result from experiencing multiple primary emotions at the same time are differently expressed and harder to identify. Culture affects the way we experience and express our emotion. It affects its intensity, duration, and frequency. For example, in the American culture, emotions are more intense than in Japanese culture. Also, unpleasant emotions in Japanese culture are socially undesirable, unlike American or European cultures. In Eastern cultures, social opinion and perspective are important, which is why individuals very often suppress their emotions that are socially undesirable. On the other hand, in Western culture, emotions are more openly and intensely expressed. The way of expressing emotion and their desirability depends on cultural norms, belief, and social acceptability of certain emotions. Knowledge about other culture and their way of expressing emotion help us to understand their reaction, behaviors, and feelings. Also, being aware of our own emotion help us to better understand ourselves, our reaction, and also take control of our emotion. In poetry, those emotions are reflected in different words, and there are also differences between different cultures. Why? Because cultures use different vocabulary to express their emotion or to explain their emotional state. So, if you want to understand the meaning of those words, but also to write our own, it's important to expand our emotional vocabulary. Then, we will be able to explain our emotional state with diverse terms and metaphors. Working on our emotional vocabulary, our emotional reflection on paper will be more credible and creative. Also, it will help us to better understand other culture and their values, rituals, way of living, and certain issues. Can we enrich our emotional vocabulary? Start by working on the emotional vocabulary used in your culture. Think about how many emotions you can name. Then, try to find synonym for them. For example, you can start with primary emotions. How many terms do you know expressing anger, frustrated, furious, mad? Also, you can search some emotional vocabulary lists that can help you find synonyms, but also to learn some new terms for expressing your emotion. Then, while experiencing certain emotion, try using these newly learned terms that can better specify your emotion. But, as mentioned before, there are cultural differences in emotional vocabulary. Terms used in some culture for certain emotion don't technically exist in other culture. But, don't worry. In the Positive Lexicography project, a database for untranslatable words are made where you can find their meaning and understand poems written in different languages. Congratulations.